Jupiter and Mars and Neptune!" The shout would be heard by none but the divine above the pounding of the waves, the roaring of the wind and the incessant hammering of the rain. But Quintus shouted it anyway. Jupiter and Neptune were at war around him, and Mars was the god of all soldiers. The shout, the prayer, was carried away, whipped into oblivion by the tempest. He knew now why the ship's boy had insisted he tie himself to something solid. For if he had not been bound to the housing for the tiller and its helmsman having long since left their company, he would have been flung over the side into the angry waves. Waves that carried the image of Neptune's horses, their long jaws snapping at him beneath flowing manes. When Quintus had joined up with such enthusiasm that spring day on the Campus Martius, he had expected to fight in heroic battles and take part in triumphs. He had thought women would throw themselves at his feet. He did not care that his father who had also served, who was spent from the incessant wars of the old Republic, wanted only to see the back of him so that he could lavish all his attention on Quintus' younger brother. He thought he would be picked first, due to his great height, his reach, his stamina. But instead it was those youths with wide shoulders, deep chests, and solid thighs that had been the first to be chosen. He was fair, lithe and supple. They, it seemed, wanted squat, wide and strong. He was intelligent, he could even read and write. And he did not think those that went before him were. When finally chosen, his new companions had immediately named him Macilentus, lofty, and referred to him often as a streak of piss. But there was no malice in it. He had gained a friend, Crassus, mocked for his serious demeanour rather than his height, a dark and curly-haired blacksmith recruited with him who had proved loyal and steadfast. His entry into the legions had been more of a forced decision than a choice. He had been running from a violent, war-scarred father, a mother afraid of him, the fire and the forge of his trade, and the ghost of a kidnapped brother. For now he did not know if his friend or any of his contubernum had survived this tempest. The waves lifted the boat and tossed it from crest to crest. A bigger, heavier ship would have plunged bow first into the valleys between the mountainous waves. It would have sought the seabed with its pointed prow. Their boat, however, was light, and whilst it was hurled into the air it turned and tossed, pirouetting and dancing, splashing water out of its sides at much the same rate as it was coming in. For a full day, and maybe even a full night, for it was impossible to tell the difference, the boat was tossed and battered.